Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. Good afternoon. It is with great honor and joy that I welcome you all to today's important gathering at the Kwabena Nketia Center for Africana Studies. We have assembled here under the theme Lessons in Tradition, defining the role of Stool in Akan Chieftaincy. This theme captures the essence of our rich cultural heritage and the vital role that the Stool plays in the governance and the unity of the Akan people. The Stool, as we know, is more than just a symbol of authority. It represents the soul of our people, embodying the lineage, wisdom, and continuity of leadership in the Akan tradition. Today, we come together to reflect on the lessons passed down through generations, to explore the evolving role of the Stool in modern chieftaincy, and to reaffirm our commitment to preserving the traditions that make us who we are. This event is not just a conversation about the past, it is a platform for dialogue on how we can continue to protect and adapt our heritage for the future generations. We are fortunate to be gathered in this esteemed venue, the Kwabena Nketia Center for Africana Studies, a space dedicated to preserving African culture and intellectual discourse. We so look forward to a fruitful exchange of ideas, stories, and wisdom as we delve deeper into the significance of the Stool and its central place in Akan Chieftaincy. Thank you very much for joining us, and once again, you are welcome.
Good afternoon. I hope that you all are well. Yes. Thank you very much for joining us here at the Kwabena Nketia Center for Africana Studies at the African University College of Communications. My name is Dr. Mpese, also known as Tracy Keith Flemming. I am the current acting director of the Kwabena Nketia Center for Africana Studies. And it's a pleasure to be with you today. As a part of my welcome to you, I would like to spend a brief amount of time talking about the mission of the Kwabena Nketia Center for Africana Studies, or KNCAS, as we also refer to ourselves. The Kwabena Nketia Center for Africana Studies is committed to becoming a leading center for Pan-African scholarship and collaboration, bringing together scholars and thinkers from the African world to conduct research and deliberate on issues affecting the welfare and destiny of African peoples, and to disseminate their findings as widely as possible. Additionally, the center will be an incubator for innovative research to generate new knowledge that advances professional practice for those at the cutting edge of transformative development. The center contributes significantly to the African University College of Communications vision of becoming the center of excellence for communication, business, and related areas, as well as to the AUCC's core values of embracing African cultural values. I'd also like to say that this particular public event is the second in a series of 3 events that focus on the significance of lessons that we can learn from traditions. The first one, which was held in May of 2024, focused on democratic practices in traditional African cultures. Today we will focus on the role of the Stool in Akan Chieftaincy, and next week at the same time and same venue, we will focus on the significance of the God-King concept among the Akan. I'd also like to say that this event is a prelude to some subsequent events that we are planning, which will focus on traditional African culture from a practitioner's perspective that also is in conjunction with academic institutions. We are developing what we are calling an Africana webinar series that you will learn more about via our social media handles and dissemination of information from our offices here on campus. And we are also developing a professional certification course on traditional leadership and dynamics on the African continent, first from an Akan perspective, and ultimately from a wider continental and diasporic perspective. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the AUCC as well as to the Nketia Center. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so good afternoon once again. I'd like to welcome our speaker. So he's in the person of His Excellency Dr. Peter Gyawu-Kyem, Prince of Bantama, Sowutuom, Mpese Kingmaker. He was born Kwabena Bafo Ewa as a great grandson of Bafo Nketia, Chief of Defense Staff of the Asante Imperial Army and occupant of the Puduo Wars in Bantama, Kumasi. He began his foray into spiritual and metaphysical sciences at a very tender age when he was ordained a school chaplain in junior high school. He later joined the North Carnation Presbyterian Church after college and became a chorister for 5 years. From the Presbyterian Church, things took an interesting turn when he joined the Church of Latter-day Saints and became a Mormon, taking initiation into the Aaronic priesthood. After studying Mormonism for a year, he left to serve at the Tabernacle of the Ethiopia African Black International Church, Bombo Shanti, in Koforidua-Tafo, where he was turbaned by the high priest as a prophet. The quest for knowledge drove him to the Hebrew Israelite community to experience the art of veganism and Afro-Arab connectivity. The Tigari Shrine in Mampong, Gyawu-Kyem, came calling, and he packed his bags and left to study for 5 years under Obosomfo Yao Ansa in deity and ancestral veneration, customized herbal formulations, and divination sciences. After graduation, he headed to India on a Commonwealth scholarship and had the opportunity to visit the Taj Mahal and prayed at the Lotus Temple. India offered opportunities to study with the Sadhu monks, meet Agoras, Hindu clerics, Jain and Sikh mystics, participate in veneration at the Ganges River, and engage in regular studies at the ISKCON headquarters after a very brief experience with Arabian cultures in the United Arab Emirates. He traveled after India to Nepal to visit the birthplace of Lord Buddha and ended up in Tibet to interact with Buddhist mystics. Next on the journey was a visit to Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, Gambia, and Mauritania to study Islamic mysticism under different Sufi mystics of repute, with an extended stay in Karlok, Sufi capital of the world, at the residence of Sheikh Maasis, world leader of Trika Tijan, Sufi order. Sufism gave him the confidence to delve deeper into African mysticism. So he traveled to study and interact with the leaders of the biggest African spiritual market in Togo, and later proceeded to Benin, where he was embraced by the community of Ajara, in the Republic of Benin, where he has been accredited as their cultural ambassador, an accreditation signed and approved by 42 kings and social leaders. It was in Benin where a crown was commissioned for him in King Gyawu-Lenu Alo Hamazi I, Oba Ghana of Benin, Antijan, Island, Badagary, Republic of Benin. His latest accomplishment is his appointment as the front desk representative of the International Human Rights Commission Committee on African Indigenous Religions, Ghana chapter. He has been recently coronated as the Ekazi of Western Africa, Royal Ambassador and official representative of the Royal Traditional Priesthood Federation Kingdom. He has also been endowed with an honorary doctorate degree in leadership and humanitarian services from the Asian University International. He is also the Dzaaae of the Sowutuom Mpese Royal Stool. He operates a healing house and a spiritual temple dedicated to all life energies. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the speaker.
Hello. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I'm very privileged to be here today to share my knowledge on the subject matter, lessons and traditions, defining the role of the stool in Akan Chieftaincy. However, before I proceed with the subject matter, I would like for us to do a little bit of an exercise. I would like somebody to open to Genesis chapter 41 verses 40. Genesis chapter 41 verses 40. And please read if you get there. Genesis chapter 41 verses 40. Verse 40. Are you there?
Yes.
Please.
Genesis chapter 41, verse 40.
Mm-hmm.
You shall be in charge of my palace,
You shall be in charge of my palace,
and all my people are to submit to your orders.
and all my people are to submit to your orders.
Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you.
Okay, so this is God commissioning Moses and telling Moses that everybody else will submit to your command. Everybody else will submit to your power. Everybody else will submit to your authority. However, the last bit, only by what? Only by the throne. With respect to the throne. Will I be greater than you? This is God telling Moses that only with respect to my throne, the throne of God, the rainbow throne of God, that I, the Creator, will be greater than you, Moses. Okay, so let's go to Quran chapter 10 verses 3. Quran chapter 10 verses 3. Quran chapter 10 verse 3.
So it says, surely your Lord is Allah,
Surely your Lord is Allah,
who created the heavens and the earth
who created the heavens and the earth
in 6 days,
In 6 days.
Then established himself.
And established himself.
On the throne.
On the throne.
Of his dominion.
Of his dominion.
Governing all affairs of the universe.
Okay. And then established himself where?
Established himself on the throne.
And established himself on the throne. So the Quran is actually talking about the throne of Allah. The Bible is talking about the throne of God. Okay, let's come to Hinduism. There's something called the lotus throne. The lotus throne is a specialized throne where in India the deities are made to sit on. So if you go into any shrine, you go into any temple, or you go into any holy place, the deities sit on a special throne called the lotus throne, and that throne is dedicated to Lord Krishna. Now, if you come to Buddhism, there's something we call Vajrasana. Vajrasana is a throne that was in ancient days occupied by Lord Buddha, and it's an empty throne that was used as a relic, where the earliest Buddhists used to worship the throne. It was an empty throne, and they worshiped that throne in anticipation of the coming of the Buddha, or the second coming of the Buddha. I'm building all these points before we get to our traditional understanding of what stools and thrones mean, so that you understand that when we talk about stools and we talk about thrones, they have spiritual connotations and they have physical connotations. So, with your permission, can we roll into the subject matter?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. Okay, so they say, what is a stool? Now, as you see here, we have two types of stools. We have the white stool and then we have the black stool. The stools are in two forms, the black stool and the white stool. The white stool is for the living. The black stool is for those that have departed. So, the stool, especially the black stool, is the single most important relic in the realms of chieftaincy, followed by all other ceremonial stools and historical artifacts. The stool, especially the black stool, is the single most important relic in the realms of chieftaincy, followed by all other ceremonial stools and historical artifacts. Chieftaincy as an institution revolves around one major relic. Without that relic, there is nothing called chieftaincy. Without that relic, there is nothing called a group of chiefs. There is nothing called order. There is nothing called protocol. There is nothing called rituals. There is nothing called rites or ceremonies in any particular town or in any particular society. In Africa, or especially among the Akans, every community begins with the stool. So the stool is the central point of worship, first and foremost, and the stool is also that particular symbol that unifies all members of the society. Every member of a society belongs to a particular family, and every family has a black stool that they pay allegiance to. Every family's black stool pays allegiance to the great stool or the greater stool of the community. That is the greater black stool. So the black stool in your family is subject to the black stool of your community. The black stool of the clan is subject to the black stool of the community. So we will learn more about what the black stool is, deeply in the third session. But for this session, we will focus a bit more on the white stool. And they say what? A stool is a divinely sacred object that serves ceremonial, religious, and social purposes for Akan ethnicity. 3, the stool is the seat of government and the ultimate iconography of chieftaincy paradigms among the Akans. It serves a ceremonial purpose, it serves a religious purpose, and then it serves a social purpose. What are some of the ceremonial purposes of a stool? Some of the ceremonial purposes of a stool is basically the elevation of kingdoms. The stool, the make of the stool, the shape of your stool, the add-ons, and the historical references attached to the stool determines the power of that stool in every community, because the stools are categorized and they are empowered based on their contribution to the society in which they find themselves. So based on the contribution of your family or my family and how much they contributed to the advancement or they contributed to the advancement of that peculiar society determines the influence of that particular black stool. So aside its ceremonial purposes of actually defining the power structure, the stool is also used as a means of communication, especially the black stool. It is used as a means of communication between the living and then the past. Because as the saying goes, no king or no chief dies in Africa. Because once you pass on, your stool that you sat on is commissioned as a black stool. And then the soul of that king or that chief who occupied that stool is trapped in the black stool. So if we want to communicate with your essence, we just approach the black stool. And then whatever we need to inquire from that personality, we inquire through the stool that the person sat on. So when the person passes, the stool becomes the relic that represents that particular person. Okay, so they say the black stool is the single most important relic in the realms of chieftaincy, followed by all other ceremonial stools and historical artifacts. A stool is a divinely sacred object that serves ceremonial, religious, and social purposes for Akan ethnicity. The stool, being the seat of government and the ultimate iconography of chieftaincy paradigms among the Akans, is a life giver and a lawmaker to the community it serves. Is a life giver and a lawmaker in the sense that whoever occupies the stool has the ultimate power, has the ultimate veto in that community. So based on the type of stool that you occupy in Akan Chieftaincy, that will determine your influence. That will determine how much power you have to make a change. That will determine whether you can rescind a subject matter or not. Because the stools, like I said in the beginning, is categorized based on the contribution of that particular stool to the community. So, it is the master relic around which the whole nation revolves, the fulcrum of existence. It is a symbol of power, pride, and authority of every traditional area, every family, every clan, every tribe or community that it finds itself in within the Akan communal and governance structure. The stool embodies the spirit of the community, meshing the souls of families together in the world of the seen and the world of the unseen. How does the stool, how does that happen? When the stool is able to mesh, you understand, the souls of the families together in the world of the seen and the unseen. Every individual, like I said, is connected to a stool. Every family is connected to a stool. So if you have 10,000 people in your family and they are connected to a particular stool, you have to know that that stool that came into existence was also commissioned by hundreds or thousands of people that pre-existed or that predates you. So once you approach the stool, it is a conduit between all that have passed through that line, that stool line. Everyone that has passed through that stool line and everyone that is alive in that moment that is connected to that stool line. And everyone that shall be born in the future that is connected to that stool line. Every time we go into the stool room and there's a ritual, there's a ceremony, or there is reverence, it connects from the first person, the first ancestor, to the living ancestors, and to those ancestors that are not yet born. So that particular stool you see there, that black stool that you see there, there's about, let's say, if in a community, 1 million people have already passed in that community, it connects to them. If there's 1 million people still living, it connects to them. That makes it 2 million people. Now, if there's 1 million people that shall still come after us, so then you see this, and there are 3 million people that are spiritually connected to it. That is the understanding and the philosophy behind stools. So let's continue. The stool is the custodian of the lands. the rivers, the trees, sacred sites, mineral resources, the people, traditions, customs, and the general well-being of the communities within its jurisdiction. No chief in Ghana owns any piece of land. Chiefs don't own land. It is stools that own land. Chiefs do not own land. It is stools that own land. Why do we say so? Now, for instance, if I am a chief and I buy, like say I build 10 houses whilst I'm a chief, when I pass, those 10 houses do not belong to me, or they do not belong to my ancestors. They belong to the stool. So everything that a chief builds, you build it for the stool. Because before you became a king, a stool had to be made before you were crowned on that stool as a king. So the stool predates any king. So the community does not necessarily belong to the king or the chief. The chief is only the caretaker of the real owner of the community, which is the stool. That is why, for instance, the Dikrofo, that is the small village chiefs, they swear allegiance to the sub-chiefs. The sub-chiefs swear allegiance to the paramount chiefs. The paramount chiefs swear allegiance to the Asantehene. The Asantehene swears allegiance to who? The golden stool. So the golden stool is superior to Asantehene. Are you getting the picture I'm trying to paint? The stool is greater and is more powerful and is more influential than the occupant of that stool. Because the occupant has no power except the power that the black stool allows it to have. Are we getting there? Okay. You say what? It is a symbol of cultural identity, status, influence, affluence, and artisanship. The size, the shape, the mold, decorations, and add-ons determine the status of an individual. There are certain styles of stools, certain symbols that no other individual could just get it fashioned that way unless you have a particular status. Like, for instance, you cannot use an elephant stool in Asante because the elephant is the highest or the biggest of all the animals. And then it's only Otumfo that is required to sit on an elephant. So if you are a sub-chief and you sit on an elephant, that is an affront to his authority. So every stool has its own functions and its own meaning. We will get more into that. But for now, I just wanted us to get a general concept of what a stool actually is and why it is so important in our African settings. Now, before I move on to the next thing, what is the first thing that happens when you pay a visit to any home in Africa? What's the first thing that happens? When you pay a visit, if I come to your house, what would be the first thing that will transpire between us? No, you don't give water. Come again, you don't greet first. You don't knock first. Yes, you provide a chair. If you provide a chair for the person, in African parlance, in African philosophy, you are welcoming the person because the person is not working alone. They are working with their own energies. So the first thing you do when they come into you or you come into your space, you give them a chair, a seat. So for the community to be unified, for the community to be planted, for the soul of the community to be activated and grounded, the soul of the community needs to sit on a seat. And the soul of the community does not sit in these China chairs. They don't sit on these fancy chairs. They sit on stools. Any questions before I proceed to the next slide? Can I? Okay. Okay. So, I want to move. Can I take this? Okay. This is how a stool is composed. The stool has three main functions, or three main components. So, when you see this, you see an artwork. But this artwork speaks its own language. This is the pedestal of the stool. This is the support. And this is the seat. And they all have representations. The closest portion of the stool is the base. Right? Okay. Or the pedestal. And then we have the closest part of the stool that is closest to the heaven being the seat. And this is the symbol of the stool. A stool is defined by the support system. This is what defines the stool. So this is heaven and earth and everything in between. Heaven and earth and everything in between. So if you look at how it is carved to represent a womb. The carving on the stool is carved or shaped to represent a womb. It's supposed to represent warmth. It's supposed to represent reception or receptivity, because the king or the queen's duty is to receive both good and both bad in the community. And I will explain that based on the definition of the word ohene or ohima, which is the meaning of the word in English called king or chief. If you interpret the word in English as chief or king, it loses a certain amount of meaning as opposed to interpreting it in the local dialect as ohene. If you say a king or a chief, if you check the dictionary, it will give you the definition of a leader of a tribe, a leader of a group, a leader of, a band of people. But when we say ohene, the word ohene, in Twi, we don't say bie. To open means hine. Please, just a minute, come. Just a minute. Let me demonstrate it well. Please open this door. Oh, it's closed now. Okay, please just open your side. I just want to demonstrate something. Okay, so you see what he just did? This is called hine. Hine. He's opened the door. Yes, you can close it now. So when we say a king or a chief in Akan society, it means the one with the key and the power to open the doors for prosperity, to open the doors for advancement, to open the doors for higher elevation. And that same person with the ability to open the doors, that same person has the ability to close the doors. So a king has the power and the ability to close or open the development of a community, because the soul of the community is embedded in who? In that particular king. Yeah? All right. So this is the heavens, this is the earth, and this is everything in between. So everything in between is the mysteries between heaven and earth. That is what the stool represents. So you can see in the support system, sometimes you see Jinyami symbol. Sometimes you see Akofna. Sometimes you see so many different signs and symbols. But you cannot commission a stool if you don't have a symbol or a totem yet. You can only commission a stool when you have defined what totem you need the stool to represent, or what language you want the stool to speak. Because when we go into a setting and I see 10 different stools, I can tell based on the shape, based on the size, based on the add-ons, it will give me a good idea as to which clan this stool is coming from, as to which house this stool is coming from, as to the position this stool occupies. It's all based on the communication that you find here. Heaven and earth and everything in between. So when the king or the queen mother sits in state, it is believed that the king or the queen is sitting in the representation or the power of heaven and earth. So when the king speaks or the queen speaks, it's God has spoken. When the king speaks or the queen speaks, God has spoken. Because the king is seated on the throne of God and his foot is firmly planted on earth. And everything in between is revealed for them. Unfortunately, most of our kings and our queens have to be reoriented in this dispensation because they are not sitting on the throne of heaven. Their feet is now firmly planted on earth, and everything in between heaven and earth is a mystery to them. Yes, so the support represents all life forms between heaven and earth. Just like somewhere in the Quran, I've forgotten the exact chapter. It says, between heaven and earth and everything in between, it has been given as a revelation for the wise. And everything in between has been given as a revelation for the wise. So everything between heaven and earth, you understand, the study of everything between heaven and earth will give you the consciousness, the power for you to be able to elevate to become a king or a queen mother who can represent the deities. So that is why when a king or a queen mother is installed, we sacrifice a ram on their feet. When the ram is sacrificed on the feet of the king or the queen, then it is assumed that there is a spiritual bond between that person and the deities. Because in Africa, the only thing that we sacrifice blood to are what? The deities. So when the blood is sacrificed on your feet as a king, then you have been elevated from mere human level to become the representative of the deities in that community amongst your people. Because the deities and the divinities are invisible. They need representatives amongst the people. So some people in the community have to be elevated to those positions, either by their work, either by their bloodline, either by their family's affiliation, either by historical references. So that is why we slaughter the ram, the blood of the ram, on the feet of a king or the feet of a queen mother to distinct them amongst society. So are we clear with the composition of the stool? Yes. And that it represents heaven and earth and everything in between? Yes. Okay, any questions? Should I roll? Yes. Okay, please. Okay, so now we come to the hierarchy of stools. This subject matter will go deeper into it in the webinar series. Then we'll take every single one of them and then we'll break it down. These are the basic 4 components or the 4 common stools in Akan Chieftaincy. We have the king stool, which is the Ahimwa. We have the queen stool, which is the Ahimeja. The common stool is Adameja. And we have the divinity stool, which is Sumenja. So, during the webinar series, we're going to give you specific stools that fall under these 4 categories. And then under the Ahingwa is the shape, the size, the make will determine the name. The Ahimeja, the one that the queen mother sits on, that is carved differently. And it assumes a different power and a different disposition. The common stool, the Adameja, is a stool that is a common stool you can buy anywhere in the market. You take it to your home and then you can sit on it. You know, there is no wahala to it. But if you want to have the king stool and the proper queen stool, there is a process that I will come to in my next 2 chapters. And then we have the divinity stool, which is the Sumenja. This one that we have here, this one, there's a story to this. This one represents the feminine energy, right? This represents the feminine energy. You see, when you see a stool and you have this stool here, right? These two bar here. This one represents male support in society. This is the female, right? The womb. This is the male support in society. In the middle here, this represents the power of God amongst men. So this is what this tool, this is what it's trying to communicate to us. Is the male support in society, and then the female or the feminine energy. And the reason why we consider it to be the feminine energy is that the chieftaincy order or the chieftaincy institution is fashioned after the feminine energy. It is the woman's lineage who creates the kingship. It's the woman's lineage who creates who have all the authority. Because sometimes we have a name like Awo. You know Awo? Have you heard that name before? What does Awo mean? Mother. You understand? Okay. What is Wo? Wo? To give birth. Okay. What is Omine? Omine is a community. So Owo Omine is what? Okay, so who is woman? You see? So she is the one who gives birth to the society. She is the one who creates a community. She is the one who creates the state. That is why the stool of the Queen Mother is always carried on the head. You don't carry the stool of the Queen Mother on your shoulders. The stool of the king is carried on the shoulders, but the stool of the queen is carried on the head. The palanquin of the king is carried on the shoulders. It's not carried on the head. The palanquin of the Queen Mother is carried on the head. You know why? Because the scepter of authority, the pressure of rulership is on the shoulders of the king. But then, because the stool or the community belongs to the queen, her stool is carried on top. And then that of the king is carried on the shoulder. The spirit of the community is with the woman, and then the power of the community is with the man, which is the king. Please, let's move to the next one. Okay. How do we commission a wise tool? This is a very, 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 very important topic, and I want us to pay more attention here. Like I said in the beginning, the stool is not just a relic, or it's not just a beautiful object. The stool is a symbol of communication, and it's supposed to speak a particular language to the person that it is being commissioned for, or it's supposed to speak a peculiar language to the community that it is being fashioned for, or it is supposed to speak a peculiar language for the clan that it is being fashioned for. First and foremost, to commission a stool, you must identify a totem for a reason. Whether it's your clan totem, it's your family totem, it's your personal totem, or it's a totem that has been revealed by divination for a particular purpose. Without the totem, without the symbol, you cannot begin to commission a stool. There is no way you can commission a stool if you don't know the language the stool is going to speak. What language do you want it to speak? What do you want the stool to say? It's supposed to say something. The only way I can identify the language, the only way you can identify the language is the totem. That is encapsulated in the support base. That is everything between heaven and earth, like I said in the beginning. So the language is right here. So let's say, for instance, if it's a Jinyami stool we want to commission for a particular reason, then we have to find, or we have to agree on the totem. Once the totem is agreed on, the next thing to do is to identify a carver. Not any ordinary carver can carve any type of stools. We have the tourist stools in the market. Any carver can carve it, and you can buy it off the shelf. But if you want a properly commissioned stool, then you need to find a properly commissioned carver who is a specialist in carving stools. And then that carver who is a specialist in carving stools, please. Yeah, that carver who is a specialist in carving stools must also be, first and foremost, an observer of rituals. It is the most important, the single most important thing to consider when you are looking for a carver to carve a stool for you. Because the carver must be an observer of rites, the carver must be an observer of rituals, the carver must be somebody who understands the reason why they are commissioning the stool. And once we find a carver who is a practitioner, once we find a carver who is an observer of rites and ceremonies, then we will give the totem to the carver. The next thing, after identifying the carver who is an observer of ceremonies, is for the carver now to go find the particular or peculiar tree. It's not every tree that is used for carving a stool. How many of you have seen the sese wood before? You seen the sese? Okay. What is a jar? A jar? A jar? A jar? No, like a jar is market, yes. But then a jar? A jar stool. So a sese jar is from the osese eja. The osese stool. That's where we have a sese jar. So now we need to find this tree, this particular tree. And then when the carver finds or locates the tree, the carver does not proceed to just cut the tree down. No. First, we have to go make oblations. We have to pour libation. We have to make ceremonies and ask the tree. Plead with the tree. Plead with this essence so that we can cut the tree and then we'll bring the tree home. When we finish with that ceremony of cutting the tree, the next thing to do is how we bring the logs, transporting the logs from the bush to the house. We don't just transport the logs just like that to the house. The logs have to be wrapped. Because when the logs have been brought to the house, nobody must see it. No eyes must see the logs that the stool is going to be carved with. So from the bush, the logs have to be wrapped in white cloth and then carried home. So when it is brought home, now there is a ceremony that has to be done for the logs before the carver begins to carve the stool. And then during the carving process, there are rules and regulations per every stool. During the carving process, sometimes if it will take 1 month for the carving to be done, the carver is not supposed to have any sexual intercourse with any woman for that 1 month. During that 1 month, there are particular food that if you don't eat, if the stool is going to be commissioned for me, and I have personal taboos, the carver must agree to observe those personal taboos, my personal taboos, for the 1 month. So if I don't eat this food for that 1 month, the carver cannot eat that food. So he has to put himself in my position because it is being carved for me. So whatever is being carved as an essence must resonate with my spirit. So whatever your taboos are, you have to let the carver know before the carver proceeds to start carving your stool. So within that 1 month, there are particular herbs or purification rites that the carver needs to undertake whilst they are doing what they are carving. Sometimes through divination, it can be ascertained that the carver must carve only after noon. Or sometimes it can be ascertained that the carver can only carve this stool before noon. Sometimes the carver has to carve it only at midnight. So all will come through the divination process, and the divination process will determine how the stool needs to be approached. So after the carver has gone through all this process of observing the rites, observing the ceremonies, observing every ritual that is attached to it to carve your stool, after the carver has finished, the next thing is to receive your stool. And there's a ceremony that is involved in you receiving your stool. Now, the carver has put his energy into the craft. It is a machine. The carver has built a machine for you, has built a weapon for you, has built a technology for you. So before the carver can hand over that stool to whoever the stool is commissioned for, there has to be a pact between that person that the stool was commissioned for and the carver. So before the carver can give you that stool, you need to bring 2 fowl, 2 chicken, and then 2 bottles of alcohol. And then the carver will now have to pray over the stool, and they will make a ritual sacrifice of the chicken. So based on the communication that the chicken will give, if the chicken accepts the stool, then the stool can be handed over to you. If the chicken does not accept the stool, then we need to go back to the drawing board and consult the oracle again as to why the stool refused or the chicken refused to accept. Maybe there's something that needs to be done. Maybe there's further cleansing that you, the person coming to receive the stool, you need to undergo. So the oracle will show all that, and then we'll come back again, do another offering, and then when the chicken accepts, or the deities or the stool accepts the offering, before the carver can now hand over your own stool that you have paid for to you.
How do you find out that the chicken doesn't accept it?
It's based on there's a way the chicken will turn, there's a way the chicken will lay. You understand? Yes, the way it dies, the way it lays, the way it moves. Because at that moment, everything that the chicken is doing is a communication. So if it is acceptable, we will see based on the chicken dance. Based on the chicken dance, we will know. We will see whether it's accepted it or not. So after all that, you need to go through all this process before the carver can hand over your own stool to you. And after the carver has handed the stool to you, that day you need to go with an entourage to go receive your stool. And then you come back home with praises, and you come back home with merrymaking, you come back home honking your horns, because we are bringing energy to the house. Now when you bring it to the house, now we have to find a day to outdoor the stool. The day of the outdooring of the stool, then that's where we do the ritual ceremonies for it. That's where we plant the stool firmly on the ground, and then we have a party for the stool and name it. Yeah, you see the process? So it's no easy joke. It's nothing you go to the art center and buy. No, that is for the tourist stools. Those are tourist stools. Those ones don't speak. They are decorative. They are nice. They are beautiful. They don't speak. The process of getting a stool to speak is what I'm telling you. When you go through all this process, the stool will speak to you. You will see the stool. The stool will see you. It's a means of communication. Because once you bring it home, your ancestors will come to sit. All the energies around you, they will come to sit. That will become their new abode. And then they will begin to communicate with you. Then the naming ceremony, then once we've done all the party and everything, you've given the stool a name, then the stool will become a living entity. Once you give the stool a name, the stool will become a living entity. Every living thing that a name is given to, once you give a name to everything, it becomes, it gives it life, because the word or the name that you give it activates it. So that is how the stool is made. So once the white stool is made for you, and then you sit on it, you rule for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. When you pass all the processes that we've gone through now, this is when now that stool is going to be commissioned as a black stool. Let's go to the first line. Now that will be commissioned as a black stool. And then the commissioning of the black stool is totally different from that of the white stool. Because the commissioning of the black stool is done at midnight. When this is the black stool. So that one is commissioned at midnight. And it has some special effects. There are special things that go into it that I will not be able to say them here, because they are secrets, and there's a whole lot that goes into commissioning it to become a black stool. So the first stool you will receive is this, the white stool. When you pass and you become an ancestor, this stool will be converted to this. Are we clear? This is what you receive as the first stool, the white stool. When you pass on, then this stool will now be converted into a black stool. Because like I said, we have the black stool, we have the black stone of Mecca, we have the black stone of scones, the Buckingham Palace. What else is black? Lord Krishna. Yes, Lord Krishna is black. You go to India, into the oldest temple, Chennai, into the Ganges and all those places. The original temples, the old temples, you find Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna, as black daki. The word Krishna in Sanskrit actually means dark skin. That's the meaning of Krishna in Sanskrit. So black, in our philosophy or our understanding, represents mystery. So when someone passes and you go to the funeral, normally what color of cloth do you see people wear? Black. Why?
Death is mysterious.
Okay. Say death is mysterious. It means the person who has passed has traveled to the world of the unknown. Nobody knows what's there. Nobody's been there before to come and tell us how it looks like. Nobody's been there to come and show us what the requirements are, what the paperwork is. We all don't know what the paperwork is. You understand? So it is considered that a person has traveled to the world of the unknown. So normally during funerals, you see two particular types of cloth, which is what? The black and what? The red. What does the red represent during the funeral? Yes, when you're brain, like I read, yes, that's one. It symbolizes blood. The red color during the funeral is to differentiate those that are connected to the deceased by bloodline. Yes. By bloodline. So don't just wear any cloth when you have an invitation to a funeral. You just wear any other cloth and you just go because it's red and it's black. No. If the person is not your blood relative, do not wear red to their funeral. Just wear black. If it's your friend, your accomplice, whatever, wear black. Red is for the family members that are connected to the person who has passed on by blood. So when people come to the funeral, they can see the sympathizers from the family. They can see the sympathizers from the family. They can differentiate that. So the black stool, back to what I was saying, the black stool represents the mystery of the chieftaincy order. It represents the power of the chieftaincy order. And also the reason why we prefer black is also the meaning of the word black, which means tum tum, right? Okay, what is tum? Dark. Okay, what is tum tum? Blacker, black. Tum, exactly, blacker, black. Okay, so what is the meaning of what is what is the meaning of tum tum? What is the meaning of this color? Tum tum. You just said it. Exactly, the darkest of the black. You understand? And now this one, if you bring it to the definition of spirit in Akan, you will say sum sum. Tum is darker black, right? So what is a sum? Okay, what is a sum? A sum. Yeah, sum, yes, it's also about me. What is the etymology? I want us to break that word. A sum is dark or darkness. So what is sum? A sum, extra dark, extra black. So the meaning of your soul or the meaning of your spirit is extra black, melanin. That is what it means in Akan. Sum. Extra dark, extra black. So we only celebrate melanin through the black stool. So all that I've been talking about from beginning to now is just to land on melanin. And it's only melanated people that have the black stool. There's no other black stool outside of non-melanated communities. Any questions? Yes, please. Why do some people wear white to funeral? Normally the white is on a Sunday. Normally white is on a Sunday. We call it Sikasa. The Sunday, okay, this is how the Akan funeral system is. We mourn. Okay, let me answer his and then I'll tie it to yours. In Akan system of celebrating the departed, first we do the wakekeeping, we do the funeral, we do all the crying. After that, we have a big party. We always end the funeral with a big party because life must still go on. After we cry for you, we have to celebrate you. So on Sunday, that's where the celebration actually begins. So after they go to church and they come, call something sikasa, they are now coming to sit and drink. So during that time, everybody comes in their white to celebrate. So even if they wear black or even if they wear red before the Sunday, on that Sunday, it is required to wear white. So the funeral is basically red, black, and white. So those that wear the white, there's some that wear white throughout the whole funeral. If the person has really advanced to a very old age that they don't need to be mourned for, they've transcended the normal age. So those people, you don't mourn for them, you celebrate them from the beginning to the end. You get my point? So with the brown that you were talking about, the brown is also a category of the black, because we have the Kwabena, we have the brisi. The brisi, the Kwabena is the red cloth. The brisi is the black cloth you are talking about. But the black cloth is in two forms: the kuntunkuni, and then the brisi itself. The brown that you are talking about is the kuntunkuni. So that is another form of the dark cloth. It is also acceptable for funerals. But then the black one, the kuntunkuni or the brisi, is the officially accepted, cloth for funerals. Any further questions? Yes, please. Okay, if a woman or a person, if your first child dies, you don't do a funeral. If your first child passes away, you don't do a funeral. The reason why you don't do a funeral when your first child passes away is that in our philosophy, you are embracing death. You are actually endorsing death. So when you do the funeral, then you have accepted what death has brought to your table. So when your first child passes away, you don't. Or when it's a baby, you understand? Or when a baby passes away, we don't do a funeral. Now, to answer your question, from that stage to the 20s, to the 30s, to the 40s, we still go through that same system of the red, the white, and then sometimes the red and the black, and sometimes the white. But then, in certain occasions, or in certain spaces, where the person is connected to a family lineage or is connected to a royal home, there is a laid down principle of how it needs to go. So no matter how old that person is, if they are sitting on the black stool, then we have to do the kuntukuni funeral. Even if they are 300 years old, we have to wear black because of where they are coming from. But then if the person is not seated on the black stool, their family can decide. The family can decide that we want to do a white funeral. That one is optional. That one is optional. The white one is not a part and parcel of our organic funeral preparation. It's an adopted cultural practice that has come to stay amongst us. More questions. Yes, after then you. Yes, please.
So, once the person has passed and the stool is now black, is it that the stool now becomes a place of welcome for them to return them to their family, for them to still visit their family, or?
They don't leave. The idea is not for them to even visit the family. The idea is not for them to come visit. The idea is for them never to leave the family. Like I said in the beginning, a king never dies because of their stools. A king never dies because of their stools. Because whoever passed and this stool was commissioned for them, somebody pre-existed them. So this stool connects to the person that it was commissioned for and the bloodlines that existed before that person, to that person, and to those living presently, and those that will come after that person. They are all connected here. So this becomes the living embodiment of the person that has left us in flesh. So most of the time, there are certain clippings of the body that are used as part of the medicine to suit the black stool. Certain parts of the body and certain parts of certain herbs are used so that your essence, the essence of the person is ever present. So if there's a need for communication with the person, then the elders will go there, do the communication, then they can invoke whatever energy, the person possesses. The person can come in a dream, the person can possess somebody in a stool, or the person can speak through any means, through divination, through whichever means that they can communicate with that person. But this stool will now represent that person as a living embodiment. And this stool can also reincarnate. Stools reincarnate. Yes, the stools are born. The stools, they can be born as human beings. Yes, because the Akan system believes strongly in reincarnation. And we always believe that when somebody passes, it's only the flesh that has passed, but the soul and the spirit of the person lingers on and it takes another form. So this, as a human being, it has to do what? Reincarnate after a period of time. So the stool as a human being, the stool as a living embodiment of a human being will take a human form after a period of time. And then if there are lapses associated with disorder, there are lapses associated with the protocols, that person will come and rectify order without nobody telling them. Because it is the stool that has reincarnated in them. So they already know the protocols, they don't need to be taught. They will come and just put everything in order. Just like, for instance, let me give you an example, a quick one before we get to the next one. This is just something that is going to be a part of what we're going to be talking next week. When the first king of Asante, Osei-Tutu, was shot by the Achims crossing the River Pra, Okomfo-Anokye, the high priest, prophesied that Osei-Tutu will reincarnate after 300 years. There's a prophecy in Asante that says Osei-Tutu will reincarnate after 300 years. Since the first Osei-Tutu came, no other king has been able to take that seat of Osei-Tutu. All the other kings, when they get into the stool room and they are blindfolded, everybody picks a different stool. That's how you get your name, first and foremost, as a king. So, like, say this is the black stool. We have all black stools, about 10 black stools here. I'll be blindfolded, and then I'll be led into the stool room naked at midnight. So, I will have to scramble through and decide on one stool. So, the stool that I pick, then I become, if that was, this king was the first king, then I become the second after him. Then if that king was the second king, then I become the third after him, bearing that name. So for 300 years, nobody has come bearing the name of the first king until this one came on the scene. And since this one came on the scene, things that were done or things that has never been done for the past 300 years, he's doing all of them now. Things that have not been done in the past 300 years. Now he's doing all of them. Because those that came prior to him coming, they were not those that established the kingdom. He established the kingdom. And now he has reincarnated to continue from where he started. So until whoever is responsible to continue the work comes, the work must wait. That is how the kingship and the stoolship order is. Yes.
Sorry, you've already answered part of my question.
Okay.
When you kept the black stool,
Mm-hmm.
they call it Bamu.
Bamu, yeah.
Bamu. And I want to know the meaning and also what are the names given to the palace? Because where I'm coming from Atebu.
Atebu.
Right now, the new chief
That's in Kranza area, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The new chief that came, he has named the palace Piagbe Palace. And I asked for the meaning because I needed to know it. And they said those days when you were going to the war, the chief that was leading the fight, is it the arrow or what? That he was using, when he shoots, it burns like a fire. So I want to know the name that are given to the palace. Is it from the stool or they generate it from where?
Okay, first and foremost, like you said, we have the Bem and then we have the Nkomyadem. The Bem is different from Nkomyadem. The Bem is where the mortal remains of kings and royals are kept. That is Bem. It's different from Nkomyadem. Nkomyadem is where the black stools are kept. So I want to clarify that. So the Bemu contains the mortal remains of kings and royals. The Nkomyadem contains the black stool. So every palace is named after a great individual who played a significant role in the formation of that community. And every palace, the name of the palace also determines to a very large extent the avatar of that community. Because in our system, we believe in avatars and we believe in messiahs. And the same way, the God in the Bible asked Jesus Christ to come and shed his blood for the salvation and the remission of sins. You cannot go to heaven. You cannot be accepted by Jehovah if you don't believe in the cleansing power of Jesus, true or false. Okay. Now, that is blood, that is human blood sacrifice. Do we all agree? Are we in agreement that the sacrifice of Jesus Christ for the salvation of mankind is human blood sacrifice? Okay. Let's come to Islam. How many battles were fought for the establishment of Islam? And all these battles, none of them was a pizza party. None of them was a stroll in the park. None of them was a retreat where you receive Swedish massages. It is kill or be killed. Wars is what was used to establish Islam. Human blood sacrifice. Let's come to Christianity. The Crusades, the Inquisitions. That was how Christianity was established. Human blood sacrifice. Let's look at the Bhagavad Gita. The beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, from the first page to the last page, from the first letter to the last letter, everything was written on the battlefield. Every single word in the Bhagavad Gita was written on the battlefield. And what happens on the battlefield? You kill or be killed. How many of Lord Buddha's men, Gautama Buddha's men, had to be prosecuted for them to run from the path to come all the way through India to China? Hundreds of them. How many Hindus keep killing Muslims, and how many Muslims still kill Hindus in India just because of a borderline? This is Pakistan and this is India. And they are all cousins, but religion. So religion, power, authority can never function without human blood sacrifice. So we believe in that. So the kingdom, you understand, the kingdom of the Akan kingdom is based off people sacrificing their lives willingly and unwillingly. People sacrificing their lives willingly and unwillingly to do what? To establish that. So those that sacrifice themselves for the establishment of those empires and those kingdoms and the families that we come from, for us to be able to have a history to tell, those people are our avatars. So whoever established your line of family through their sacrifice, that one becomes your avatar. So his name is supposed to be the one in your gospel book. So once you see those names in the palaces, it means that they have contributed immensely by sacrifice, willingly or unwillingly. I know you have a lot to ask, please. Yes.
Sorry, probably I missed that segment. How do they commission? What criteria do they use to commission who's going to build or craft a stool?
Okay. Let me give you the rundown again.
Sorry.
And then you'll get there. Okay, so this is the criteria for commissioning a stool, right? So like first I said, before you can commission a stool, you need to agree or identify a totem, a spiritual symbol, a sign, that's a language that you want the stool to speak. The stool speaks a particular language, but the language is based, or the language is spoken through the totems. The totem could be a sign or a symbol that represents about 500 to 1,000 years of history. Maybe it was a major event in a moment in time, and the symbol came out of that event, or that totem was commissioned out of that particular moment. So once you see that symbol, it is only one symbol, but that symbol is talking about 400, 500 years. You understand? So after that, then you identify a carver. The carver, the most important thing to look out for when you need to identify who can carve it is somebody who is a ritual observer of ceremonies. They need to be an observer. They need to be somebody who understands. They need to be people who practice the holy days. And they understand the holy days, they understand the rites and the passages of chieftaincy affairs. So they must have some form of inclination to the practice before you can allow them to do it, to carve the stools for you. Then they have those other ones too, who are just ordinary carvers, who can carve it for you ordinarily. And then, but if you want it to be a commissioned stool, you need to find someone who is a ritual observer of ceremonies. And then sometimes too, it takes divination, it takes the oracle to point out who needs to fashion the stool. So we can have 4 carvers, and then we consult the oracle. The oracle will show us who needs to construct that particular stool. So it's either by finding a ritual observer of ceremonies or by consulting the oracle.
Are there many of these carvers that
Yes.
are actually that are following the ceremonies? Are there many around still?
Yes, there are many around, but they are not, even those around recently, it's sad. Those around, I've been to about 4 places that are historically known for commissioning stools. And all these places that I've been to, it's like now they've all become very touristy. Just bring it and let's just find the wood and just carve it. Come and take it 2 weeks time or next week. They don't follow these things that I've said to the T, but there are still a few of them that still follow, but it's not as widespread as it used to be. But we still have those who still keep to the original carvers. So if you find someone who will follow these principles, that person might be around like 50, 60, or a very old carver. But these young carvers don't know these art forms. They don't know the processes. Or even sometimes if they know the process, it's too long for them. So something that you can do it in a week. Why do all these observances for 1 month before, abstain from my woman for 1 month for your sake? No, man. Just carve something for you. You hear my point? So these are all challenges. You understand? So until we begin to find new set or the younger generation of carvers and imprint these ideologies in their minds for them to see the value of following the protocols to make it proper. So you can differentiate the tourist aspect of it and the cultural and spiritual aspects. Yes, please.
Has there been any time in history in the Akan culture where a stool was carved or commissioned or later rejected?
Rejected the owner?
No, the crown rejects it.
Okay.
For some reason, it was rejected.
Okay. There normally the stools are not rejected, but normally the stool can reject the occupant. There's been several occasions where the stool has rejected its occupant. Several occasions, and it still happens up to today. Because sometimes the bloodline, right? If my great-grandfathers established this stool through a particular bloodline, and then somebody comes after 200 years, and because they have money, and they are not connected to that bloodline, and they use corrupt means to occupy that stool does not speak the language of that bloodline that is trying to occupy it, unless it has somebody from its own bloodline that it can speak its language through. So then, if you don't know these things, and then you try with money to go occupy stools that do not belong to you, the stool will fight against you and it will reject you. How does the stool reject a person? It will keep bringing you problems after problems after problems after problems. So if you are fortunate enough to find a diviner to be able to divine to show you what the problem is, you'll be free. But then other than that, you will just be going up and down, surfing the wind till, you cannot surf no more. So yes, the stool can reject the individual, but normally once the community accepts how the stool is, and it is brought, you know. But then sometimes too, like you said, they can be done, and then maybe the person didn't observe the full ritual. I come to you, the carver, and I give you the taboos to follow. So maybe if you don't observe the full ritual, then when it comes to the elders and they do the divination, and then the divination does not tally, then it means the carver has not observed the full ritual. The carver has observed parts and parcels of the ritual ceremonies. Any question?
That's one.
Excellent. So,
So the question is, what is the role of menstrual blood in purifying the stool during cleansing? Why is a small amount of menstrual blood used to blunt the spiritual power of the stool before the actual ritual cleansing and purification process?
okay. Menstrual blood in purifying the stool? This is the first time I'm hearing this. Because one thing is, only women that are off flow, that do not menstruate, are allowed to go near a stoolroom. Because menstrual blood is a no in any stoolroom. The moment you take the menstrual blood there, it's going to kill the energy, or it's going to lower the vibration. That's why in typical Akan homes, we have the main house, and we have specially built places when women are in their menses, they go to. If you go to any typical Akan home, when a woman is in her menses, she doesn't live amongst the people. A woman who is in her menses does not cook for the king. A woman who is in her menses does not even come into the house, because sometimes we have things that are planted in the house. The menstruation is able to do or drive them away, because when the woman is in her menses, it's not that she's unclean, but she is exuding extremely high frequencies. Her energy that she's pulling, you understand, it's a ritual sacrifice. It's a monthly ritual sacrifice to the earth. It's a monthly ritual sacrifice. So instead of sacrificing a ram or sacrificing a cow, they sacrifice their body. And you see, human blood and animal blood is not the same. The human blood has higher grade and higher power. So when a woman is naturally bleeding, it is more or less like human sacrifice. When she's around, she can distort so many things within that space. So this is my first time I am hearing of menstrual blood, because I know that the menstrual blood is used to blunt other black stools in the time of war. It is used to blunt other energies and other divinities in the time of war. But if you add that to the black stool process, wow. This is the first time hearing it. Yes, please.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
I don't know if you are done with the presentation.
It's ongoing.
Okay. I'm still processing the whole presentation and how it dovetailed into African arts, African philosophy, symbolism, among others. I'm still processing the whole thing. But I want to know how that symbol of the womb of a woman forms part of all stools, whether the stool is for
a male or a female. Yeah.
That's the first question.
Okay.
And then the second question, what is that thing that comes together collectively to make the stool black? I mean, what is the composition? that comes to make the stool black. That's the second question.
Okay.
And the final one.
I see you want to build a black stool in the house.
Like I was saying, I don't know if you are finished, but my very final question. I was here when they introduced you. I was trying to see this man.
I've been all over the place.
Presbyterians, all over the place. Islam,
Yeah.
Hinduism, Shintoism.
Yeah.
How do you blend your religion, whatever you believe in,
Yeah.
with all these Akan concepts?
Okay, that's a good question. Let me answer that before I answer the stools. I've always been, actually, I grew up in a library. And growing up, my father had a big library like this, and my father had all the spiritual books from all the different religions and philosophies. So I had all access to almost every secret society, Illuminati, Freemason, all of that, the philosophies, Gita, the Bible. So my father had everything. So I grew up studying all of them at once. So my interest was very piqued at a very young age. And I was searching. So it was my search that actually, you understand, took me around to all these places. But then, talking about Asante or the Akan, I am Akan by birthright. My father is the son of the Bantama. So I am a prince of Bantama. You understand? So that makes me Asante. So I am Asante by nature. My very core is Asante. But then my quest for knowledge is what took me to India, to Nepal, to here, to there. And all the places that I traveled to study has given me a much better understanding of being an Akan. Because after traveling all over, I just realized that all that I was looking for was how to be a proper Akan. That's the conclusion. All my traveling, all my years of traveling, I was looking for ways to be the best portion of what I was born to be. Because I can never be a Hindu and be a master Hindu. I can never be a Buddhist and be a master Buddhist. I can never rise higher than the master in India. If I'm a Buddhist, I can never rise higher than the master in Japan. You understand? But when it comes to Asante, there is no Indian guru that can rise higher than me here. You get what I'm saying? Because this is my DNA and I'm speaking my DNA now. So I have to go learn all the systems so I can be able to interpret myself. So secondly, back to why the, how do you call it? Yes, why the seat is carved in the shape of a woman. The Akan society is defined by the feminine bloodline. It is the woman who owns the family. There's no man in Asante or in Akan who owns a family. If you give birth with a woman, the children do not belong to the man. They belong to the woman. Only the woman has a family. The man is only a stranger to his children. It is only the mother who is a family to the child. So the society is built in such a way that there are 2 or 3 stories to it. The first story is that there was one king who was very sick, who was very, very, very sick. And then he was asked to bring some of his children, you know, as a ritual sacrifice in exchange of his life. And then the oracle demanded that. And then he called his sisters. I was like, yo, my sisters, this is what, he called his wives. He said, look, this is what the oracle is saying. So my wives, I need one of you to sacrifice one of your children for my. You're like, no, not my child, though. Not my child. Me, I have only 2. Me, I have only 1. And then he called the sister and said, look, my sister, this is what's happening. And the sister was like, don't worry. My brother, you eat for me to eat. If you need all my children, I can give all my children to you. And the sister gave a son, you understand, for that ritual ceremony. And then it became a decree that from that day, inheritance will be from the matrilineal side. And then the second philosophy is that 2 men, please come. Please come. Please come. Please. Okay. These are two men, right? Okay. These two men, if this woman gets pregnant, these two men can fight over the baby. If this one had been with this before, and this one has been with her before, the two of them can fight over the baby and say, I was with her first. And this one say, no, I was with her first. No, that's my baby. No, this is not my baby, this is my baby. Right? Two men can fight over one pregnancy. Okay, please, sit. No, don't go. No, sit. You come. Okay. If she gets pregnant, can you fight her for the baby and say it's your baby? It's impossible. Only the mother knows the father of their children. You understand? Only the mother knows the father of their children. Please. because that could even be my pregnancy, but because I don't have money, you understand? And then she realized that she's pregnant, and me, I don't have money. This man has money. She can just stand, let this man water it a little bit, and give it to him. Oh, the man will just water it a little bit, and then you understand? She's going to say, no, this is not your baby. This is his baby because he has more money. No, this is not your baby. That is his baby because he has more influence. You understand? But no woman can deny the baby in the womb and fight the baby, say, this is not my baby, it is in your belly. So that is why, to keep the authenticity of the bloodline, we stick to the feminine. Because with the feminine, there's no argument of who the mother is. There is no argument as to who the mother is. But once the child is born, 3 men can come and fight over the paternity of the child. That's my baby, that's my baby, that's my baby. Yes, they can do that. But no other woman can come and say, this is my baby. You get my point? So that is why our focus is on the feminine. So that's why you see this as a symbol to who she is. And she is the owner of the family. She is the one. Without her, there's nothing like kingdom. Without her, there's nothing like the throne. Without her, there's nothing like hierarchy. Because she is the one who determines the hierarchy. She is the one who determines the family line. She is the owner of the family. Because no male in Akan society owns a family. Even for the king to be the king, it will take her to make him the king. If the queen mother rejects the king can never be a king. So the kingmakers can bring whoever their candidates are. If the queen mother says, I refuse, you can't be a queen, or you cannot be a king. So if you want to be a king, you have to start lobbying the queen mothers. If you really want to be a king, you lobby them small. You lobby them. Yes, madam, yes, madam. You always have to be in their good books. Because when it gets to the crunch, the kingmakers cannot save you. Nobody can save you. It's only the queen that can say, oh, I agree. Then you can become a king. If the queen mother says, I don't agree, you can never become a king. So the stool is dedicated to her. That is why, like I was saying earlier on, if you go into public spaces, her stool is not carried on the shoulders. Her stool is carried on the head. And the stool of the king is carried on the shoulders. Because spiritually, the woman is higher. You get my point? Spiritually, the woman is higher. So that is why in Akan societies, the queen's palanquin is carried on the head, but the king's palanquin is carried on the shoulders. So anything that has to do with the queen, it has to be on the head. Everything that has to do with the king, it has to be on the shoulders. So that is why this. And then to answer your black stool question, whatever is added or subtracted, there's always a ram. So for that, I'll give that to you. Whatever is added or subtracted, there's always a ram. Yes. Yes, please. I know you have questions. Let's keep the questions going. Suggestions, questions, if you have anything to add to it, yes, please.
Aside white and black stool, are there other types of stools?
I've seen a red stool before, but it was red wood. I've seen a red stool, but it was made from red wood. Aside white and black stools, I've never seen any type of stools officially commissioned as a red stool, a blue stool, or a green stool. Normally, it's just the white and then the black. And then, like I said, the white is for the living, and then the black is for the departed ancestors. But after this is commissioned for you whilst you're alive, when you pass, to be darkened. And then it becomes a black stool. But for that, I know, by any other stool, it might be the color of the wood. Yes, please.
Okay, so you said when a new king is being chosen, they are being blindfolded.
Yes.
So a room to choose one of the black stools. So when choosing the black stool, are they giving that stool, or you give them a replica of that stool?
Okay, the stool that you pick. Okay, this is how it is. This is the stool room. So at midnight, you go in naked, and then you are blindfolded. And then you are led in there. So let's say these are all stools, right?
Okay.
So I have to scramble. If I decide on this stool, and this stool was, let's say, Nana Tutujagu the first. This is his stool. So if I pick this stool, then I become Nana Tutujagu the second.
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
So I'm trying to say, do they give you that stool, or they'll give you a replica of that stool after you getting the name?
After you get the name, this stool is already commissioned. It's not yours.
Oh, okay.
That is not your stool.
Okay.
So when you pass, you understand?
Okay.
When you pass, they will make Nana Tutujagu the second.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
We'll make Nana.
Because you said when a king is chosen, they do the ritual for the stool. That's the totem there.
Yeah.
So I was also thinking, if you choose that particular stool, they will give you a replica of that. So
Oh, okay. No. I understand where you are coming. Like, let's say if that was a Jinyami stool,
yes.
then you'll make a Jinyami stool for you.
Yes.
No. The thing is, everybody comes with their own peculiar totem.
Okay.
Because your reign is different from the one that you are inheriting. And the one who will come after you, their reign will be different. You have a different commission. The one who passed has a different commission. The one who is to come also has a different commission. So we have the common stool whereby once you are commissioned or once you are installed, the stool has to be made for you, where your bottom will be used to sit on the stool 3 times to confirm and affirm your authority. So for that particular one, a white stool will be made for you, and then the white stool, the oracle will determine how it needs to go.
Okay.
So when you pass, when you are no more, then a black stool will be made for you. But it's not every king that qualifies to have a black stool, or it's not everyone that qualifies to have a black stool. Because there are some kings, they are not from the original family line, but maybe at that particular moment in time there was nobody to occupy that seat, so they need someone to occupy that seat. So they can give that seat or that stool to somebody from a different line, just that they have an occupancy. So with that, when you pass, you cannot have a black stool in your name, because you are not from the direct bloodline. Yeah.
What happens when wars happen and tribe, whoever it is, come to a country and destroy the whole thing and get the stools, burn them around, it can happen, right? It must have happened.
Yeah.
already. So at that point, how do you do?
If you go to war and you capture the stool, you capture the black stool of any community, it's tantamount to cutting the head off the king of that community. It's the biggest relic that the community have to fight tooth and nail. Whatever it takes. The community can lose everything. You cannot lose the black stool. Whatever it takes to protect the black stool. Whatever it takes to protect the black stool.
So they would take them in a place that is super
Super special, put, or even if they have to split the army into two and just put half of the army to preserve the black stool and the half will go and die in battle. They have to do it. Under no circumstances must you lose the black stool. Even if you have to defend the black stool with your life, you cannot lose the black stool.
So, what happens to the community who loses the stool? Because I reside in Goyam, and they say that their stool was stolen. They say that since then they have been living in poverty, and nothing has been able to change. Nothing positive has ever been able to happen because their stool was taken. Is there any way to restore? Or how? What
Yes, there is a way to restore, but when it comes to stool matters, right? And you see, like, say, for instance, the stool that was taken, there was a pact, there was a spiritual pact between the people and the stool. And when the pact was created and the stool was commissioned, certain things were invoked. You understand? For prosperity, for da-da-da, for da-da-da, for da-da-da. And there's an agreement. You see, with this black stool, every 40 days, there is a sacrifice that is made for the stool. Every 40 days. So once the sacrifices are made for the stool, that is where the blessings that are supposed to come to the community overflows. So, for instance, if your stool has been lost for the past 300 years, and your stool has not been fed for the past 300 years, then whatever blessings that are supposed to come to you for the past 300 years is going to be blocked. You understand? And then secondly, too, yes, the situation can be changed. But then they will need to do deeper insights or deeper research into it. Because if they have to recreate it, maybe the things that were used to create the first tool in the beginning, they might not have those. Sometimes that tool, probably they use the blood of a tiger or they use the blood of a lion. You understand? In conjunction with other things. And they lost it. Where do you get the blood of a lion now to commission it exactly as it was? So when you lose your black stool, you've lost your power.
But you can reinstate it or not?
You can reinstate, you can recreate it, but you might not have the same effect as the original. Yeah, it will still give you some effect, but it might not be as the original. So that's why I'm saying that the most important relic that we defend is not the buildings, it's nothing but the stool. If everybody in the community have to put their lives on the line to preserve the stool, because everybody's allegiance is not to the king. Your allegiance is not to the king. Your allegiance is to the stool, the black stool. Because the king swears allegiance to the black stool. And every other person swears allegiance to the king. So, by default, everybody swears allegiance to the black stool. So, defend the black stool at any cost. Yes.
There is a chief, a paramount chief in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Before he became a paramount chief, there was a litigation. And the queen has never been in support of that chief because she is the one responsible for all the procedures through which he has to be installed. And according to the queen, that particular paramount chief is not the chosen one, and therefore she has never been in support of him.
I'm sure you know it.
I know the story.
That chief has been gazetted official. Before the celebration of the festival of that particular town or traditional council, the chief, the queen actually released a statement that she's not in support of that celebration, warning the country never allow the celebration to take place. But it still went on. What is the effect? And before I end, according to some of the people, the kingmakers, the name that the chief is bearing is not even valid because the actual name which he is assuming as the head is not part of the black stool, the name, the room where the black stools are kept. That name doesn't exist because the first one committed suicide. And therefore,
cannot have a black stool.
No black stool exists for him. But the one who keeps celebrating the festival, in fact, at a point he started using the second.
Yeah.
They started making fun of him, and then he's now using the third. Using the same name. But in the festival, during those festivals, I mean, they are celebrated in a grand style. People come all the way from different parts of the world to, the celebration. Does it mean that everything they are doing is just empty ceremony? And if that is the case, what are the impacts on the actual community?
Yes, you see, in Akan society, when we have a very important decision to make, we have a proverb that we say, have you heard that statement before? What does it mean? We are going to do what? We are going to consult the old lady. We are going to consult the old lady. It is the highest, like an oath in the palace. So anything you do in chieftaincy matters, in palace matters, in traditional leadership matters, and the Abrewa Oba Apenyi, the Queen Mother, is not in support. It is null and void because the king does not have a kingdom. All these things happen because of politics. Politicians have found way to enter into chieftaincy institutions, and politicians have found way to align themselves with certain houses that are not eligible to rule, but because they are in tandem, they understand, with their ideologies and their philosophies, they push the boundaries and they push the barriers for those people to disrupt the normal order for their political gain, which is to the detriment of the communities that they represent. So everything that has to do with chieftaincy, everything that has to do with stools, without a Queen Mother, it's null and void. It is null and it is void. So you will see all the pomp, you see the pageantry, you see the colors, you see the displays, you see the government officials, you see all these big figures, you understand, making it look like something is happening. In actual fact, nothing is happening. Yeah, it's a waste of taxpayers' money. Yeah.
And what happens when the Queen's mother dies? So she's alive as well, right?
Yes, then they have to find a new Queen Mother to succeed the old Queen Mother, the one who has passed. That one is a process for it because there are families that are in line. You understand? The Queen Mother has a family, so there are particular families that the Queen Mother has to come from. You know, but now the role of the Queen Mother, one thing is, now they make it look like the Queen Mother is inferior to the king. The king and the queen have the same authority. The king and the queen have the same authority.
Sorry, is the queen not, in terms
Yeah.
Is the queen not the mother of the king?
She is the mother. She is the soul. She is the founder, the advisor. She's the confidant. You know, she's the one. She's the only one. She is the only one who has the power to turn the decision of the king. No other person has the power to turn the decision of the king in a council except the queen mother. So when the king makes a move or he decrees, the queen mother has that power and that ability to say, no, I do not support. We need to do it this way. We need to do it that way. If somebody wants to disagree with the king, you have to disagree with the king through the queen mother. If you disagree directly with the king, that is insubordination. But if you disagree with the king through the queen mother, then you are accepted. Or whatever your grievances are, you understand, they are in line. So you cannot take the queen mother out of this equation. The queen mother, the opinion, because even in our own traditional electoral system, it is the oldest lady who is the electoral commissioner. You understand? So you have the council, you have the kingmakers who are the electoral commission, and then out of the electoral commission, there is the electoral commissioner who is the eldest or the oldest of the women in that society, and she has the power, the final say, to say yes, I agree with the choice of the kingmakers or not. So the kingmakers only have to do what they have to do and present their candidates, but it is the queen who will choose who will become the king, because the queen is the one who owns the community. She is the one who is the mother of the community. She is the one who brought forth the stool. She is the one who owns the whole society, because she is the head of the family and the owner of the family. So yes, they can do whatever they need to do. They might have political power. They might have some traction for now, but then it's only for now. It's only for now. Because no kingdom that has risen, no king that has risen against his queen mother has succeeded. He will not succeed. No king can rise against the queen mother and succeed. Because it is against, maybe in another society, but in Akan society, that is the rule of engagement. The king does not have that much power, that much spiritual power over the king. Or over the queen. But the queen has spiritual power over the king. Yeah. Please, you had a question. Okay. Yes, please. Before you ask your question, let me just make a brief intro. You know, there are certain people here need, we have a special delegation from UK, from Nigeria, who came purposely for this event. Please, can we see the retreat crew? Please. They came, please, round of applause. Oh, everyone, sorry. Yes, so, yeah, they've traveled far and wide, you understand, just to be here with us today, to partake of this particular event. And then we also have a very special guest, Prof. This one, very soon, we're going to have a conversation, and he has a lot to, offer. Kwakuti, please. Kwakuti is the founder of the first hip-hop group in Ghana called the Talking Drums. Please. So Kwakuti, and his crew, they started the whole hip-hop movement, you understand, the Kasahari movement way before we even got to the Kasahari proper, you understand. So they were the bridge. He is the bridge between this man here, please, this man here and Reggie Rockstone. Reggie Rockstone is the aftermath of Kwakuti, but Kwakuti is the aftermath of this one. This one, he is a traditional poet, a traditional lyricist. He does traditional poetry and traditional hip-hop. And this one does contemporary hip-hop. So, Prof, I think we should put the two of them together one day so that we can have, Let's put the two of them together one day for a master class here. And then, we can discuss, the evolution of the sound. Yeah, because what he does it in the raw organic form. And this one does the same thing, but in the contemporary form. You understand? So we need to see how it evolves. And the best person to have would be to have Reggie Rockstone on this, so that we can track from where it started from, how it got to you, and how you handed the baton to Reggie Rockstone. Are you guys in agreement with it? Yes. So we need to track. We need to start tracking these things. We need to start telling the stories well, so that we can know where the story started from, where it is, and then where we are going. And then, Kokumami, please. Yes, we also have a psychic here. She can manipulate all your psychic, whatever. If you want to travel into the realms, that's what she specializes in. She's a specialist in ayahuasca. How many of you know ayahuasca? Yes, she specializes in ayahuasca. She facilitates all those things. She's a healer as well. And then we have Compassion. Yes. He has a big online presence. He has a big online presence, and he's also very interested in working with us. So, Prof, I'm bringing all the soldiers that you need, you understand, to make the work easier, you understand. And then we have the crew. I want a crew. These are the soldiers. These are the soldiers on the ground. As for you, you are a Philippa. So yes, as we proceed, if you have any further questions, contributions, yes, please.
So, from what I've been hearing, the Queen Mother has the highest spiritual authority. But is it possible that she can be swayed or somehow be prejudiced? That can also cause a problem for the community. What happens in that situation?
Okay, so what happens in the situation when you give gold, right? You give a lump of gold to somebody who does not know the value of it. Okay, say somebody is hungry, and the only thing they can think of is how to get to the next pawpaw, and you give them a big chunk of gold. What do you think they're going to do with it? They will not sell it. They will throw it at the pawpaw or at the mango. You get my point? They will throw it at the mango, and they will prefer to lose the gold and get the mango at that moment. So when people don't know the value of what they have, they tend to misuse it. So we have people who are in certain positions who do not know the value of the positions or understand the historical references of the position, or even understand how that position came about, or how many people have had to sacrifice themselves for that person to be in that moment whereby they can call themselves a queen or a king. So if you understand the value of what you have, then you are going to be more serious with it. But then people don't understand the value. People don't even care about the value. People are more interested in the big cloth. They are more interested in the jewelry. They are more interested in the pomp and the pageantry. They are more interested in being seen that they have some form of power. They have some form of authority. But then they do not understand the source of the power. They do not understand the source of the authority and how it relates, you understand, to themselves, to the environment, and what is required of them. So yes, we've had so many instances. And like I said in the beginning, I said, when we define chieftaincy as a king or a queen, or a king or a chief, the understanding is different from the Akan concept of who a king or a queen is. The Akan concept of a king or a queen is the Ohine. The Ohine is the opener. When we say somebody is a chief, the meaning of it in Akan is an opener. Opener, someone that opens doors. someone that closes doors, someone that has the ability to open and the ability to close. So if you have the ability to open for goodness, for mercies, for all the good things to come into the society, that same person, if they don't know how to open it, they will keep everybody behind the door. So first and foremost, before you occupy that position, you must understand the meaning of that position, just the meaning. If you understand just the meaning of that position, you will be in line, because the meaning of the position will show you how to move. Kweku, you had something to say?
Just to add to the point.
Okay.
How do we keep it honest? How is the stool kept honest? Because I know of a situation where, so my family are the protectors of the golden stool. On my father's side is golden stool. My mother's side are the protectors from my home. There's a silver stool.
Yes, silver stool.
My uncle sold the stool. He sold his kingship.
Yeah.
Because like the gold and the mango situation.
Yeah.
He was broke, so
Yeah.
he sold the stool. So the stool's in somebody else's hands, and all I've heard is he's an idiot.
Yeah.
With all due respect. so now the question stands as to how do we keep it honest? Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
this is, let's say Ashanti is one of the only surviving monarchies globally. So, and we're fake British.
Yeah.
So how do we keep it honest? Because if it ends up at the top, then the kingdom is over.
Yeah.
And once the kingdom is over,
Everything
Ghana's
is over.
gone.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So how do we keep it honest?
Yes, that's a very good question, and that's something we've all been battling, and that's something we've all been trying to rectify. And for the past 3 years, I think one thing that I loved the Otumfuo Sowutuom very much is now he's clearing the system left, right, and center. Now he's just destooling. He's on a mission to just destool everybody that needs to be destooled. He's on a mission to clean out the system. So now, if you say this stool, you belong to this stool, okay, come. By what virtue do you own this stool? Then you have to come and recount the historical references and your family lineage and why you even belong or you even deserve, you understand, to be mentioned in that conversation. So the only way is to be honest, like you said, is to be truthful and to be bold, just like the king is doing, and just call the spade a spade. But the problem right now is that in ancient days, it used to be given to those that were of a particular bloodline. But right now, they are looking at, this one, he studied in Europe. Oh. Hey, this one is a doctor. Oh. This one, hey, they just made him a professor. Oh. Hey, this one, he just built 2 houses. You know, they're now looking at the bloodline. So the stools are not functional as it's supposed to be. Because then you are looking for a rich man. You are not looking for the truth. You are looking for the one that has more cars. You understand? The one that has more properties. The one that has more physical things that are appealing to the eyes, as opposed to the true person whom by divine nature, whose great-great-great-great-great-grandfather sacrificed themselves, you understand, to establish that order. And if you don't have people like that within those circles, the stool becomes inactive. So there are hundreds of stools laying, hundreds of black stools laying inactive now. Just because the wrong people are occupying the hierarchy. And those people, their bloodline does not connect to the black stool. So the black stool cannot speak through them, because as a king, the stool is supposed to speak through you. Every king, the king is supposed, but if you are not connected, it can never speak through you.
But isn't that a part of the spiritual selection process?
Exactly.
Like, if my butt isn't supposed to be on this chair, it's not going to be there.
Exactly.
So why are there people who are not? Because this is, our system works.
Exactly.
Our spirituality works.
Exactly.
So why is it that there's some
Okay, let me give you the example. You see, sometimes you have these chiefs. There's one particular chief in Kumasi. For the past 3 years, he's been having like public disgrace after public disgrace after public disgrace. I don't want to mention his name. He knows himself. You know, public disgrace after public disgrace. And you know what Otumfuo said? The last time he was summoned before Otumfuo, you know what he told him? He said, you don't understand the position you occupy. That's what he said. You don't understand the position you occupy. Be careful before your stool destools you. Be careful before your stool destools you. Some of the times, the stool can take some of these people's life quick. Sometimes it will bring you disgrace. Sometimes it will bring you diseases. Sometimes it will bring you discomfort. So everyone who is occupying a black stool that is not theirs, bro, they don't sleep. Forget all you see, the pomp and the pageantry. Their spirit is never at ease. Because they are in a position, they've put themselves in a position that they're not supposed to be there in the first place. You understand? So the black stool does not recognize them. So when they sleep, instead of the stool showing them things for development, instead of the stool showing them higher advanced secrets about the stool, every time they close their eyes, they see cemetery, they see coffin, they see funeral, they see bathing, they see dogs chasing after them, they see cows and cattle. They are not free, oh bro. They are not free. Fabio.
Is there a connection between some of the stools to the destruction of water bodies?
A lot. And every stool that allows the destruction of the water bodies, if you are a king or you are a chief and you allow that, then you have actually cursed yourself. Do you know why? Because every community was founded by the water body. You understand? The migration routes, majority of the migration routes are along river banks. You follow the river bank, you follow the stream, you follow the water source, and you migrate on those lines. So every community, they settle there by a water body. So the first and foremost life form that gave birth to that community is what you are selling to the Chinese. That's your great-great-great-grandfathers built a whole community for you to survive. And that community has survived for thousands of years till your time. And now you are so wise and so hungry that you have to sell out, you understand, the living. Because remember that once the water body is messed up, you are not messing up for those living. You are messing up for those that have passed. Because the same water body that will have to come and bath the black stools in them. That same water bodies, you have to come and bath the black stools in that dirty water. That same water body is what the living are supposed to be drinking. That same water body is what you are supposed to leave for those that will come behind you. So you have destroyed the past, the living, and then the future. And that is a curse on all of them. Each and every one of them. Every king, everybody who sits on the black stool, and you allow that, is a curse on you. Yes, please.
I have two questions.
Yes.
First one, how does one, in a student process, how does one get to be first of their name? And secondly, you said that when a king dies, there's a black stool that is made. So if you are named after another stool, maybe two for a second, and you die, what name do they give to your black stool?
Okay, so your black stool becomes, we don't have in Akan, we don't have, Tutu Jagu the first. If you are a living being, you don't carry first. First is only for those that are departed. So if you are Tutu Jagu, you are Tutu Jagu. Unless somebody has come before you who is Tutu Jagu, now you can be Tutu Jagu the second. But if you are a living human being, you can never be Tutu Jagu the first. Tutu Jagu the first, when you become a living dead, the moment you put the first on your name in chieftaincy, you are considered a living dead, but most people don't even know it. And they will put another the first. No, you are living dead. It's only those that have passed that can be referred to as first. So, like in this case of Sowutuom, once he went in there and picked, you understand, that particular stool, then he has become Sowutuom what? The second. When he passes, he will have a black stool. You understand? When he passes, he will have a black stool. So in case somebody comes and pick Sowutuom the first, because the second has already come, then he will become the third. So if somebody goes in and pick the second, the person becomes automatically the third. You get my point? Should I take it again?
So, okay, so the first question is, there was Sowutuom, right? And now the second Sowutuom was named after.
Yeah.
How did the first one get the name to be a original name? I know that's not the only Sowutuom. There are two for the previous one also has a name, right? How do you get your to be original? And secondly, if you are named second, as your Sowutuom to the second, your black stool, what name does that black stool get? Does that black stool become a Sowutuom to the second?
Yes.
And if somebody goes to pick the second one,
Become the third.
What if somebody goes to pick the first one?
Because somebody has picked the second one, that first one, somebody has already picked it. So to become the second. So if somebody goes into that room and picks the first, that person cannot become the second. That person has to be the third. But if that person goes and picks the second, then automatically that person becomes the third. Because there are rules and regulations in the stool room as well, as to how you get the names. You understand? So if somebody passed, for you to have the original and be the first, you understand? For you to have the original and be the first, it has to go through certain processes whereby there must not be anyone that must have come before you. Yeah. So if anyone has come before you, then you cannot be the first. You understand? So when anyone has not come before you, then you become what? The first. So they are positioned in a way, a manner, and there are choices. There's a way to choose and to add and subtract. There's a way of adding and subtracting. So whichever one you pick, then the lineage will continue from there. So like let's say we have Prempe the first, Prempe the second. You understand? Opokuwa the first, Opokuwa the second. So if like say now we go in and you pick Opokuwa the first, it cannot be Opokuwa the second. Because somebody has already come as Opokuwa the second. And somebody has already come as Opokuwa the third. So if you pick Opokuwa the first, the only line of Opokuwa that is available is the fourth.
So do you necessarily have to pick a stool?
Yes, you have to pick a stool.
So did Opokuwa the first pick a stool?
The Opokuwa the first, no, he did not pick a stool because they were establishing the kingdom then. You get my point? The kingdom is based on evolution. At every point in time, we add. At every point in time, we add. At every point in time, we add. Because remember that the kingdom was built not only by one person, it was built by a group of people. You understand? With spiritual guidance by Konfanochi. So Konfanochi was the one that was guiding everything along the line. So as the kingdom was being built, sometimes we add this to this and take this out. Add this and take this out. Add this and take this out until it becomes an established order. And then once it becomes an established order, then it cannot change. Then it becomes a decree that must continue from there. Yeah. Yes, Papa Bon.
During festival celebration.
Please, can I have some water, please?
As part of the procedures, they go for a black stool. Let me say a stool. At the initial stages of the celebration, they go for a stool to come and guide them to celebrate the festival. After the celebration, we go to church for the Thanksgiving service. Does it have any implications?
Yes, it has a lot of implications because give what belongs to Caesar and give what belongs to God. That's what they say, right? Okay, so at the end of the day, before any festival can take place, they have to ask permissions. First, they have to go to the bush they have to go to the forest, they have to go to the cemetery, they have to go to the royal mausoleums, they have to go to the various shrines to seek for permission. You have to go to the stool room, seek for permission and approval for them to be able to celebrate the festival. So during the 7 days of the festival, everything is on point. From Monday, we go here. Tuesday, we go to this sacred site. Wednesday, we go and perform for the ancestors at the cemetery. Thursday, we are going to do this. So from all the week, there are specific days where there is energetic rites of passages and rituals and ceremonies that is used to do what? To galvanize the whole community and to reignite the energies that govern that community, right? Then, people come to the palace and, oh, Nana, I brought you 1 bottle of pure water. I brought you 5 cedis. I brought you this. I brought you that. I brought you this. You understand? So, on Sunday, if I give you permission, right? Okay, for instance, if Professor has given us permission to host this program here, if we have anyone to thank, who do we thank? Okay, so if I don't bring the Thanksgiving to Professor and I take it to the security man, are we on course or we are not? So, under no circumstance, because when the churches have their harvest, they don't bring money to the palace. No church brings money to the palace after harvest. No church, not a penny. Say, oh, Nana, we've done this harvest and we have this big money and we have this. So, oh, we want to contribute 10,000 Ghana cedis to your stool project. No, churches don't contribute to stool project, but you have stools contributing money to church projects. You know why? Because that chief is a deacon in the church. You understand? He is the chairman of the men's fellowship. The Queen Mother is the head of the women's fellowship. You understand? The chief linguist, he is the basis or the choir master. You understand? So all of them have their head in there some way, somehow. You understand? So at the end of the day, they sit or occupy certain positions whereby now even the church has more, more power than the traditionalists. Like if you go to Kwabena, you understand? I will tell you on authority, 90% of the time, if you go to Kwabena, before any chief in the Kwabena will start a ceremony unless the pastors will come and pray first before the pour libation. That is totally out of order. That is totally out of order. So as long as the churches don't bring money to the palace, I don't see why we should take money from the palace to the church. Me personally, I don't see it, because if they want equality, then they should also know that the churches don't own land. It is the community that gives them land to operate a church. So at least the best you can do after your harvest is just bring 10% of what you got there and come and pay your tithe to the palace. Yes, we'll take one more and then, okay.
Thanks for the nice.
Please speak up.
Like, it's a privilege having you here.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. Like, I'm a writer and I wish to write about this topic to promote stewardship in Ghana and in Africa. So I would like to have, I don't know how we get in touch with you for more information when I start writing.
Oh yeah, for sure. After this place, whatever information you are looking for, you understand. And that's what we do. We are here for you. Okay? Mm-hmm. I've been told my time is almost up. I have almost about 2 to 3 minutes. You know, so Prof, how did we do today? Please, I hope you have a better understanding or overview of what a stool is and the role it plays, you know, in our African society, especially in the Akan society. So next week, Thursday, we are going to have the final episode of the trilogy, which is going to be the golden stool and the God-King concept. The God-King concept. And then next week, Thursday, we are going to talk about why the Asantes revere Otumfuo as a god and not a king. And why they worship the king as their god. So Next week, Thursday, we'll conclude on that. Then after that, we'll get to the webinar series. After the webinar series, by next semester, then we'll get into the full-scale, how do you call it, semester courses and all that. So yes, thank you very much once again, each and everyone, for making it here today. I've enjoyed myself. I hope each and everyone, you've also enjoyed yourself. And we will continue the discussion off the podium. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I know we are all very tired, but we can all attest to the fact that this has been very insightful, educative, and the rest of you. So if you want to follow us on our social media handles, like you see on that is being projected, you can follow us. Then we can have more of such seminars, and like you said, the follow-us is going to be interesting. So we do invite you to all our programs. You are very, very welcome. Thank you very much for being a better audience today. Thank you.